This is video number 4 for crisp baling. So I just want to briefly talk about the front porch. So the front porch here is an addition that was added on. I'm not sure when it was added on. It appears to be similar construction to the rear wall. The walls are thinner, probably constructed with hollow block, like similar to the rear north wall. And again, it's the structure itself, it's in good condition apart from the roof. The roof timbers are rotten and have failed. Probably what happened, the way this failed is over time moisture got in on a flat roof and the timber started to decay and deteriorate, and it's gotten to a stage now where the roof needs to be replaced. Flat roofs are notorious for becoming for if they're not done well, and they're often not done well, which means they should be laid to a fall so that the rainwater can drain away. But they're often not laid to a good enough fall, and are often not laid to a fall at all, and they hold water. And over time, over the space of a short few years, they start allowing moisture in. And the problem just gets worse and worse because it's not maintained. So I don't like using flat roofs, if at all possible. And in your particular instance, the way I would get around the problem is by not by replacing this flat roof with another flat roof. I would provide a pitched roof. So at the time when you're, let's say, removing the asbestos sheet cement, when you're taking that off, then I would provide an A-frame roof that is basically built back into the roof that you have. So if we, this is just another picture of the failed roof here, which needs to be replaced. The walls are, again, they're sound. So this is an extract. This drawing here is an extract from the planning. There was a planning application that went in 2007. And these are drawings from, I took these from online, from Leitrim County Council's online website. I just took these. So they're not great quality. It's very difficult to read some of the text. They just give an indication as to what was proposed. And this was allowed. This planning permission had been approved in 2007. Now, if it's not constructed, or if nothing has been done, the planning permission expires after 5 years. So the planning permission has expired, but it does give you an idea as to what they were allowing. Now, that's the original structure there. That's the original structure, which was going to be retained. That's it there. And then they have proposed an extension, which is this bit here. This is an extension onto the west gable of the original structure, the west gable. And what they were proposing with the porch was to remove the flat roof here, and they've shown the red outline here shows they were proposing to put an A-frame roof over the porch, which is a much better way of keeping moisture out, and it's what I would recommend. Now, if you're looking for a side view, the way that would be finished into the existing roof is it would be built in. Now, it might not be quite as high as they've shown it here, but it will be built into, after you've removed the asbestos cement sheets, then you can construct a timber roof over this and just build it into the side there, and then re-roof the whole thing, possibly in a sheet metal if you want to keep the weight down, as we discussed earlier. And this is basically another extract from the planning permission. The other thing that I wanted to point out was that these are asbestos cement sheets. Asbestos cement sheet roofs they don't make them anymore. They are dangerous if you create dust from, they do say that these asbestos cement sheet roofs are safe provided that you don't generate any dust. It's generation of dust by breaking the sheets and, let's say, breathing it in. That's the hazard. So the way to remove these sheets, the best way to remove these sheets, I've seen a number of videos of this online, is when you're removing them, try to keep the sheets intact. And the best way of keeping the sheets intact is to use something to cut the fixings. So you might use a small rotary cutter to just cut through the screw fixings or the nail fixings or whatever they are, so that basically what you can do then is you can just lift the sheets off without breaking them, because they are quite brittle. So it's not a one-man operation, it'll be a two-man operation. You may need to erect some sort of a small scaffold to get them off. And what you're supposed to do then is you're supposed to double bag them. Not just bag them, but double bag them. So I would have, on the ground, I would have 2 sheets of plastic laid out on the ground, and then just rest the sheets on top of the plastic and then fold it over, so you can double bag them with plastic. And try not to generate any dust. And you should be wearing a good quality mask to protect your lungs. And you should also be wearing asbestos dust can get into your clothes, and it doesn't wash out. It just sort of it can sort of just it can just sort of then come off your clothes after you've taken the breathing apparatus off. So I mean, after you've finished the job, ideally throw your work clothes away. Or what you can do is you can get these sort of white suits that are available, very light suits that you can wear over your clothes, and when you're finished the job you can throw those suits away, so that you just try and minimize the amount of asbestos that's created. Now, if you really want to be very, very safe about how you do things, I suppose you should be hiring somebody who has relevant statutory approvals and who knows how to remove it safely. And if you want to reduce the risk entirely, that's the way you would do it. But again, that might cost a few grand to do that. But if you were going to do it yourself, the key to doing it yourself is not to break the sheets and not to generate any dust. Oftentimes what people do is they keep the whole thing wetted down with a hose so that no dust can be generated. Okay, so that's it. As I say, I'm going to go out and I'm going to do another, just before I go, I have included in Appendix A details of this book here by Roger Hunt and Marion. So those are the similar extracts to at the start of the report. And it'll just give you an idea. It'll explain the difference between an older building that breathes, stone walls, and a newer building that's basically designed to keep the moisture out. It explains the difference and the different ways of treating them, dealing with them. And in Appendix B, what I've included in Appendix B are the drawings that I took online from Leitrim County Council's website. So this is the plan drawing from what I took off Leitrim County Council's website. Again, it's very poor quality, it's very difficult to read, but it just gives you a bit of an idea of what was planned. Now, if you want higher quality drawings, you can go into Leitrim County Council, or I can go in for you, and I can get higher quality drawings and scan them or photograph them and include them so that you can see what was proposed. Here you can see that's the existing dwelling there. That's the existing dwelling. I'm just going around the existing dwelling there. So there's your existing dwelling. Your extension is here. That's the extension. And that was what was proposed, an extension here. And he has shown a treatment plant here and a percolation area here. And that was allowed. I'm not sure what kind of a treatment plant he has proposed to put in, but then he's put in a percolation area as well. And this planning application was granted. That's the proposed front elevation. You've seen that already. The proposed rear elevation. He's actually proposing to move the chimney. And you'll see now in a minute, if you look at that's the proposed plan. Now again, it's very, very poor quality. It's difficult to see, but you can see the original building here with thick stone walls. Now it's not, he didn't actually survey the building very well, because the rear wall here is not as thick. That existing rear wall is not as thick. It's actually, it's much, much thinner hollow block wall. And you can see here the proposed wall here, what he was planning to do was a cavity wall. You can actually see a full cavity there the whole way around, which would be a modern way of construction. And so that was what was proposed. And you can see he was proposing to remove the internal wall, which contained the chimney. Because I suppose that internal wall is taking up a lot of space. It's quite thick, and that's a proposed section through it. That's the end of the report. So we'll just go back to the start here, and I have said I've given this building, I suppose, a significantly below average. Now, don't pass too much heed of this. It's just because the building is not currently habitable. It needs to be completely renovated. So that's why I have kind of, if I was to compare it with other properties on the market, it has to be considered significantly below average. I suppose the key thing to remember is that in general, the walls are salvageable. That if you want to retain the walls, you can. As we discussed, the west wall is borderline, but you could retain it if you wanted to. There's not cracking in the gable as it is, so there's no current movement. So you could keep it if you wanted to. But you could easily decide, no, I don't want to take the risk on it, and I'll knock it and rebuild that wall, that gable wall. What I am going to do is I'm going to visit the site again tomorrow just to confirm that everything that I've recommended makes sense, and that, you know, we're going about the renovations the right way. And I will, if I have anything additional to add, I will come back to you. And if you have any questions, there's a lot of stuff that I've gone through there. If you have any questions on it, I'm always available on the phone to answer any questions. That's no problem at all. So oftentimes it's easier just to talk on the phone rather than to write out a report, because writing out reports takes time and it's difficult to explain. It's much easier to just chat things through over the phone. So I'm always available for a phone call if you need me. All right, that's the end of the report then.